Hi friends, continuing to the chapter The Maximum City. Indians like their male voice deep and the female voice high. But these days, not that many people know the names of the playback singers. The Mangeshkar sisters no longer hold a monopoly. With the advent of an electric music, background music now competes with voice in an Hindi film song. The synthesizer is often more important and noticeable than the singer, and the masses love it. The great Panwala audiences dance to it. Old timer wins and complains as old timers are wont to do. They got especially instant when the new boys set their electronics on the old songs and remix them with thumping disco beats and regauge the voices and sample of the rap. Suddenly, a slow song, a lament, or a tender ballad became an urgent call to the Congress. Electronics open up a whole new world to the composers of the Hindi film world. They went a little crazy. Now they do not have to look for the instrumentalization who knows what a samba or an magunat beats is. They can steal it right off the synthesizer of the sample complication CDs. The digital readout of Lois synthesizers announces the instrument they are my king. Sweet violins, afro drums. I can make out zouk and Senegals chanting and zychord. Anything with a beat. This includes an European classical music the Indian musician has not forgotten. Mozart and have dressed up the Venice laid in bongos and congas. Hindi film music is like Hinduism. All who come invade it are themselves absorbed, digested, and regurgitated. Nothing musical is alien to it. One evening, I take my family to see Kuch Hota Hai, a wonderful entertainment film, even though it falls apart in the home stretch. There are no villain in it. It is a big Punjabi puppy love film about the college romance, the middle class Indian hallucin days. I have seen this school campus somewhere before. I knew these characters. I tried to think where. Then the two words in the newspaper reports about the set designer bring it back to me. Revidable High. It was an American comic book reassured in Hindi. Betty and Veronica fights over Archie. The filmmaker grew up on Archie comics, which I too read. For a peep into America. When you want to escape from India, you go to suburban America. My son Gautama sings Kuch Hota Hai and Chal Mera Ghota Hai. In addition to it, I am a Barbie girl on the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. He is gathering his source of pleasure from east and the west. He is building his own vocabulary of Hindi film music that I have carried all my life. When he is asking that what he will miss when he go back to America, he says straight away, Hindi movies. When he misses Bombay in the New York, he will sing Kuch Hota Hai on the sidewalks of the fair city. An Indian boy in America singing Hindi song from an Indian movie imitates of an American comic book, a ping pong game of Kid Shich, along with the Bhagavad Gita and theory essays on civil disobedience is too has the wings. Over the months, we work on Mission Kashmir. Vinod opens his home and his heart to me. He has been married 3 times and none of them knows how to make an omelette. He complains, but both the ex-wives visit his home regularly. When he has a backache, I walk into his house to witness the filmmaker lying on the floor. Each of his three women's his harem, Anu calls it, massaging a different segment of his body. When he marries Anu, he took her to the house of his first mother in law, who puts the tilak on her forehead and bless her, saying, "You are a daughter of this house." He seems no reason to stop loving his ex wives because he is not married to them. More important, he sees no reason why they shouldn't stop loving him. I'm not sure why Vinod has taken me on. Then slowly I realized that what he wants is not so much as a waiter as a friend. I start getting invited to imitate the functions at the Chopra's households, birthdays, anniversaries, celebrations. No film folk are invented. Often it is just Anu and Vinod's immediate families, my family, and Ajay Lal and his family. Vinod has a way of sucking up other people's lives and making them his own. He calls me every single morning and demands to know when I am getting to his house for the script session. When I make a sign of wanting to leave in this evening, his face falls like that one who is doomed to a long, lonely nights. In that beginning, I would accede to Vinod's request to show up at 11 in the morning. Gradually, as I realize I am getting to the director's house before he has risen from his bed, I start stretching it. When my family leaves for America and I am alone for 2 months, Vinod summons me to his house one day and then calls for his cook. From now on, he instructs Kim, lunch and dinner will be sent to Sukita from our house. I protest, but Vinod will hear none of it. Every evening, Vinod's driver arrives with an insulted tiffin full of in Punjabi or Chinese or Italian vegetarian food. Every morning, another drivers take away the empty tiffin. In a poor country with a bad public health system, food takes on an heightened meaning. In this filmy family, improbably I found a spices of home. I invite people to my house for my birthday, and it is a tense party with the people who don't like each other's and not enough of them. Vinod changed his shooting schedule to make it. He arrives late when almost everybody has left, but he fills up the room. He has just been to a filmy party and is full of entertaining the stories and 3 beers. All of a sudden, my party is happening, and I feel a rush of an affection for him. In my 2 years in Bombay, he has been the one man who has always been generous with his time and his hospitality. It is done in a Punjabi way, not without taking something back and not without calling this fact to my attention. But there is an exuberance to him, a gregoriousness that's put a smile on the people around him. People in the late stages of a lukewarm party being around Vinod, I get a sense that anything is possible. To marry and divorce a woman, make a lot of money, own a big house in Bandra, live a large life. Vinod carries his own power sources within him, like an alkaline battery, like a nuclear submarine. Mahesh Bhatt's owned. Mahesh Bhatt is in a bad mood. We are on a set for Ek Hey Mumbai Meri Jaan, a story about a middle class immigration to the Bombay who makes a good while retiring his small town values. Tanuja Chandra is assisting him, and it is not going well. I am angry. He rumbles emotionally throughout the microphone. There is no enthusiasm. The set is supposed to be Chucky Pandey's bedroom. My open air Taj Mahal, as one of his line reads, there are the astonishments of an upper middle class success. A bar stocked with an Shaival regal, a TV, a gadget filled kitchen, and a Western foreign German style toilet. As another of an Chucky's line describe it continuing, I stole the seat cover for a five-star hotel. This visual extravagance is being stacked on the roof of an happy home and the school for the blind in Raleigh. A giant seat sign about us come alive in a red, gradually extinguished itself and reappears. There are about 150 people on the set: light boys, sound people, actors, assault assistants, and a sizable group of people who are doing absolutely nothing. Only two or three people here know their jobs, says Mahesh disgustingly. That's why our film has rough edges. It is not like Hollywood where everyone is trained. I'm running a giant employment agency. They work with a whip. The Indian film industries, like every other industries in the country, employs far more people than it needs to. The actor, especially Chunky, flub their lines repeatedly and the whole slot has to be done again. Bath Saab, please come here. Please Chucky after a rehearsal. Mahesh stays where he is. You don't need me to come there. You need me to learn your lines. Learn your lines. Mumbai Mary Jaan, like so many other movies, offers a generic Bombay for sale to the provinces. Rich people, fast cars, westernized women's, gangsters, policemen, consumer goods. To the Bihari immigrants walking around the South Bombay, this part of a city is unreal. A film set so astronomical or the prices for the flat here that the outsiders does not say to himself, walking around a Malabar hill, one day I shall live here. He is walking in an dream lab. Like this ridiculous set, it is very real, it would be washed away. The bed, bar, toilet, red phone booth, stolen from MTNL, everything with the first rain. I don't know what I have expected when I meet Mahesh, a good artist who had sold out, a Philippiner. He has a reputation as a gas bag, losing no opportunity to be questioned in the papers on all manners of issues, including those entirely unrelated to cinema. I find an overweight, blanding, rumpled man who looks older than his 49 years but is charming and likable and most at the ease with the young. He is now writing a film set during the time of the riots about his mother. She is a woman of two secrets. One is that she is his father's mistress. He and his siblings are illegitimate. The other is that she is a Shia Muslim. One day his mother stopped outside a wedding hall and asked his elder sister to go inside. When the girl returned, his mother interrogated her about the wedding. How did the bride look? How was the groom? And wept all night. It was the wedding of her lover, Mahesh father, to a more respectable woman. The relationship continued after the marriage all his mother's life. When his father, a Gujarati Brahmin, producer of B movies, would visit their home, there was never any complexion, says that the producer's son about his producer father. He never took his shoes off. He would never take off his shirts like the other fathers and put on a singlet and sit down and read the newspaper. Mahesh adores his mother, now in his 80s. I used to bring the glow worms in a bottle to put into my mother's hair, he says with an easy laugh. The film about his mother and the riots, Jakim, is the latest film Mahesh will direct. he has a strong things. He has averaged more than one movie a year, some 27 films in his quarter century career. Mahesh is bored by the whole exercises of direction. It is concerned hard work 7 days a week towards a pointless exercise. He is now at the stage where the phone directs some of his movies. He hates driving to do the film shoots, hates having to appear enthusiastic. So he issues the instructions to the actor on the set over the phone as he is driving or from the home. My earliest memories of the movies are sitting inside a preview theater on someone's lap, my mother or my aunt or the maid, and seeking his black and white screen. I went towards it to try to touch it. He mimes a child's hand slowly touching a huge screen. But as I got nearer, it was just a black and a white dots and lost the picture. Then I pulled back. My life has become like that. I don't see the magic anymore. It's just the making of the film, and there is no arm to pull me back so I can see the whole picture. Here, tell me the plot of Zakim, in which the secrets of the hero's mother, religious, come out only at the end, when he has to decide what type of funeral to give her. The film is in the form of an flashback during the Bombay riots, when the hero is at a hospital at his mother's bedside with Takchari's mob losers outside. He would not, however, name Takchari in the movie. I don't want to make a film about politics. The Hindi film industry has always had the secularism of the brothel. All are welcome as long as they carry or make money. The financier might be a hardcore Hindu nationalist. The lyricist can be fundamentally Sunni. A star who played a Hindu will actually be a Muslim, and his heroine playing a Muslim will be a Hindu. And none of this matters to be public, but the 1993 riot toppled the pyramids of the power in the film industry. The lower level technical became newly bold and demanded the favors questioned authoritatively. The Sena men were making the rounds of studios to check for a Muslim employee. Hindus higher up in the industries, not knowing that Mahesh's mother was a Muslim, would abuse Muslim in front of him. One of the Mahesh lightsmen was trapped in Behemprada, one of the worst hit areas. His family was surrounded by the Hindu mob, and his wife was screaming on the phone to the Mahesh, "They are coming to get us." Mahesh was trying to get food sent to the lightman house when one of his Hindu spot boy came up and told him their union was asking Bhat Saab not to take us the cases of the Muslims. Mahesh responded angrily, "He is not a Muslim, he is an employee." We discuss how all that might enter into Zakim. It seems that the hero as a man in love with his mother, deeply hating the man who could come to take her. It is a triangle, he explains. At his mother's funeral, as he is walking, scared verses from Hinduism, Islam, and the Christianity rings through his head. "I have the soundtrack in my head," he says. He tells me about how his mother would take him to a church where he could be asked to kiss the blood of the Christ, kiss the blood of the Jesus. Then she would take him to the Muslim shrine and make him a Kriti La ilaha Allah. While bathing him, she would recreate his caste origin. "You are a Nagar. Your grotto is Bhagwara," because she considered herself married to a Hindu lover. She kept the Muslim's part of herself secret. As a boy, Mahesh hated her for being Muslim, so he would try to disturb her namaz. As an adult, he has decided to celebrate her and her religious identity through his movie. But his mother is fearful. During the riots, she asked whether it was safe for him to give him two daughters, Muslim names. Jahim will borrow from the Mahesh lives in more ways than one. His mother will be played by her own granddaughter, Mahesh's daughter's Pooja. Like Vinod, Mahesh hates a business that has been so good to him. This is a sick industry. There is no money here, it's victim of its own hype. When he makes a film now, there is a fear it won't work. Right at that outset, because 9 of the 711 films doesn't make back their investment. He has lost his feel for the formula. I can analyze it, but the flow is missing. But he knows that exactly what his purpose in the life is as a man who makes the movie. We are distillers of pleasures. Tanuja arranges a preview of Sangrag just for my friends in gratitude of having helped her in the making of its Madanandapura. It is a strange meeting of the worlds. My book come alive. There is a Mona Lisa and the Girish and the Sunil and Kamal and Rustin and Isaac and the whole host from Madanantapura. After the show, they all stand in the two lines along the corridor, resting against the wall, shy, awkward, as the Mahesh and Tanuja stand at the head of the line and talk to me. They have just been to the novelty cinema and have seen a full house, hundreds of the people raped in their creations. Sangharash is getting blasted by the crisis. But when I saw all those peoples at novelty, Tanuja says, I feel they were a merely important audience, that the individuals. That is your only audience, booms Mahesh. Never forgot that we all go to Gallop's restaurant at the Rack Tracks. The maker of these films about the riot sits across the table from the rioters. Sunil patiently feeds his daughter, whom he has brought along to see the big people. Put but conversational flags. The class boundary is too high. The preview of my friend turns out to be an unacceptable profitable for Tanuja. A couple of days later, she calls me frantic. She had just seen her film, not 3 days old, in the theaters and on her TV screens. It is being aired illegally by the cable operators in Bandra and Borwali. The overseas distributors who don't have a stock in an Indian market sells prints of a new film to the local cable operators. The first week is crucial for the Hindi films. Most of the money it takes in its lifetime will be made during that week, and if the people can already watch it on their TV screens, why should they pay to see that in the theaters? Tanuja wants me to ask Sunil, the cable operators, not to screen it in his area. Sunil tells me there is one cable distributor for the suburbs who she should speak to. A deal is struck. As a favor to Tanuja, because she is a friend of a cable operator of Mumbai, and Thane will decide from screening it for the subscribers for 1 month on the distributor's order and for a payment of 50,000 rupees. But this is a blackmail, I protest. It is a good deal, she responded. Filmmakers go to a great length to the project their films from getting it to the hands of the pirates who sells DVD even before the film is released. With Kareeb, Vinod traveled around India personally applying to the police department to protest his film from the cable privacy. In Ahmedabad, he told me a senior police officer lined up the leading cable operator of the city after Vinod complained that if it was being shown illegally on the TV there. What shall I do with them? The police asked Vinod. Break their legs, he suggested. No problem, responded the officer. I open the paper one Monday morning and see a large photograph of an old woman under the name Shirin, a Muslim name, but she is wearing the Hindu tilak on her forehead. Mahesh's mother had died, but her celluloid version is about to be born on the big screen. As the film release date approaches, a controversy arises over whether or not Mahesh is really a bad man. Mahesh films and the much of his life is built on and promises that he is. His father says that he isn't and the places an advertisement in the paper to that effect claiming he is legally married Mahesh's mother. Ugly insult fly between the family members. My mother was supposed to be the mistress, Mahesh insisted to me. Though they have repeatedly claimed they were married, they had no documents to prove it. And now Mahesh is a big man. This man have become a star and fight his domain in 70 mm with 1 billion people as his audience. His mother, who always had to hide her love for her God and her man, has been reincarnated as her granddaughter and is now the goddesses. The object of an veneration of celebration, her son has made her legislative again. By celebrating his intimacy, Mahesh is also vanishing it. Art is where you find your dinners. Mahesh takes me to all the important censor board preview of Zakam. We wait outside on the terrace of the censor board of the Liberty Cinemas until the board has finished viewing and debating the film. As we go in, the chairperson of the community says, "We want to commend you for a very few sensitive film." Mahesh, Tanuja and I stand in one of the front rows with our back to the screen, facing the censors. For Hindu women, one Hindu man, all middle class type doctors and accountants. The chairperson starts asking why the Muslim policeman is shown as a good guy. The policeman is Hindu, Tanuja insisted. What is his name? The chairperson asked. Mahesh and Tanuja looked at each other. He is a Hindu policeman. They say, but he is just called Sarad, which is the actor's name. The censors want that to be made explicit so it won't look as if the police are divided along the communal lines. Although we all are known that the force is communalized, the chairperson adds. Also, the line spoken by the bad Hindu cop, the Muslim boy, should be changed to this boy. Mahesh agrees with the woman before she finishes her sentence. This is his last film and he has been to dozens of such bargaining sessions. In the elevators going up, he told me about how at his first censor screening when he was 26 and he argued with the censor and refused to make the cuts when they demanded and walked away from the Liberty to Mahim because he was so angry. He thought that more than 2 decades later things would have changed for the better, but they haven't. All that changed is that he is much less confrontational. The chairperson commended Mahesh for the fact that his film has no nudity, no on-screen violence, no profanity, and for the sensitive handling of an illegitimacy issue. However, she says that because the film deals with an issue of an communalism, the board has decided on a certificate. This is a death blow to the film's revenues. Mahesh makes a very low-key plea for them to change their minds. I don't want to get into an argument, but I feel this film should be seen by younger children. If 14 and 15 years old could see it and be sapped by its idea of tolerance and for the ideal of an united country. It would benefit the country, he says, but he leaves it to them. The chairperson says that they will think about their decision and let him know the next day. If they stick with their A decision, it will also affect the TV sales of the film. So, there is an economic incentive for the filmmakers not to deal with the political issue. Reality is not for the children or for the teenagers either. The censor finally insisted on an A certificate. The chairperson of the committee argued sermonly for an UA certificate, but the others on the committee wanted to go even further, showing it to the police force for their approval, lest it indicate communal hatred. If the film caused trouble, the community would shoulder the blame of having passed it without any cuts. As it turned out, getting an A certificate in the least of Mahesh trouble without having seen the film, but on the basis of an written symphonist, the chairperson of All India Censor Board, an actress, refers the film to the State Home Department for clearance. One of the functionaries on the censor board, made up mostly of the housewives and unsuccessful men with the time on their hands, has been unable to sleep all the night after watching this film, and this is one of the reasons the chairperson of the censor board gives for the needing is to be cleared by the government. This film should properly have been referred to the union government since it is an India-wide release. Taking a film about the riots for approval to the very government that was implemented in the riots is asking for the trouble. And the state government can really make it things tough for the Mahesh if it has an end too. It can shut down all its project including his TV serials. He tells me that this is his last film and he is not prepared to lose his dignity. Like other filmmakers, he won't go to Bal Takchari cap in hand. Mahesh's daughters Pooja come along to our meeting with the Chief Secretary of the Maharashtra government, Mrs. Subramaniam, and traveling with them as one of their writers. The meeting is in the bureaucrat offices, from which all I can see through two large bay windows in the sky and the Air India buildings. It is one of a rare views in Bombay, unaccompanied by the human beings. The secretary himself is a fat man with a face scarred by the skin disorder that he has turned it white and red, as if it is were straw-lit. Pooja is there essentially an ornamentization, a star dazzled. The chief secretary isn't dazzled. He is a big man in his chair, a god in his frock pound, and he let us know it. The secretary recount how he had cleared the film Mumbai, on which he says that he was alone against the governments in holding that an artist had the rights to his opinion. The police have opposed him, but it was cleared only after the film's directors had appealed to Takchari. Amitabh Bachchan had personally gone to the Sena leader and begged for his permission to release it. He says the film was about the riots and the Hindu Muslims were shown as an being equally to blame for the events. When the film was shown to the Sahib for his imprimatur, he wanted just one scene cut. The end of one at the end where his alter ego is shown apologized for the massacres and the burning. He had no wish to forgo responsibility of his valiant act. He bought his peace, the secretary recalls, suggesting that the Mahesh should do likewise. Mahesh refuses, I am not prepared to do that. The secretary assistant then says that he will have to get a letter from the chairperson saying that the censor board would not release the film, but the letter wouldn't be forthcoming. She would say the film would be judged by a higher tribunal and the matter was being looked into by the state government. Since they have not made any decision, you can't appeal against it. The secretary points out Mahesh timing is bad. He adds, the Sri Krishna reports had just come out. It's your film is anti-Hindu, as if you are saying the truth about the riots. It has to be anti-Hindu. It would see the light of the day. Mahesh says that it does not take a position against the Hindus. In that case, declares the secretary, it will remain in the cans. We will ban it. He does not it all the time. That very morning, the security says he banned a play. He makes it very clear that the things the Hindu started the riots, nevertheless, the present government is pro-Hindu. You would have had this problem under the Congress government. Mahesh and Tanuja try to explain that the riots figures only peripherally in the film and scenes of rioting are never actually shown. The chief secretary says that he hasn't seen the film, but he repeats it will still never see the light of the day. If it is say the truth and take a position against the Hindus, Hindu likes to think that they are secular. When they aren't, he laughed. Muslims aren't secular at all. Recalling the emotional powers of Mahesh earlier films such as Sarans and Arth, the security added, if it is emotionally very strong, you are in trouble. Mahesh moves are innocent of subtlety or resonant. A Sikh always carried a sword. A Muslim always had on a skull cap and Ali Baba style shoes. He doesn't believe in holding back the tears. He gets its actor to cry as oft possible. Tanuja, who has co-written the Zahim, has defined me the secret of success in the Hindi movies. It has to make people inside the crunch. The Indian public thinks that with his arts, this patient can topple the government's empires. The government can stomach a documentary film about the riots, but not an emotional mainstream ones. The Enlightenment hasn't reached those shores. It carries no weight. Documentary democracy here is a blanking of opposing the patient. Mahesh responds that he will go to Delhi and meet the Prime Minister who had recently told him he admired his work. The chief secretary laughed. He has a hawk as a home minister. The film will be shown to him and it will be banned. Mahesh and Tanuja worked right through Diwali, frantically trying to get the film through the various politics and bureaucratic hurdle, taking the issue to the media. The film is screened for a community of an government official, including the Bombay Police Commissioners, who then ask for a police nominee on the censor board. To see every film to the filter out the negative portrayals of the policeman. It generates more heat than the fact that a bad cop is there than the natural effect generated by a good cop. The commissioner explains. Mahesh gives in and makes some cuts and reshoots some scenes to please the censor. The saffron headbands that the riots wear, which represents a certain political party, according to the written report from the censor board, are placed by the black ones. A scene where a Muslim character is pointed out, his frustration is not necessary. A staggered encounter where the police shoots a man running away from them is deleted. A speech made by the Takachari stand-in, we have tolerated these people long enough and now the time has to come for the national cleansing, is cut. Mahesh wants it both ways. He wants to be a hero to the press for holding the torch of an defiance against a fatanist establishment. But he also wants his film released. Crows are riding on it. After the political cuts are made, Zakim is released and goes on to win an award from the President of India, Best Feature Film on National Integrations. The struggle and the goodness. I am at the table outside the Sun and Sand Hotel in Juhu in the late afternoon, watching the sun being its decline and falls into the sea. This is the hotel where the movie stars and the gang lords used to come to see and be seen. The hotel where Mona Lisa lost her virginity to the movie producer Hari Virani. Ali Peter John likes lounging by the poolside of the Sun and Sand Hotel, especially when his vodka and the chicken sandwich are paid for by someone else. But he is no sponger, he's paid for his meal in stories many times over. For Ali Peter John is, as his former drinking buddy Mahesh Bhatt described him, God of his strugglers. His preach as a communist from the screen gives him a license to roam the highways and the bylanes of the Bollywood. Ali is a fixer, a messenger between the worlds and a conductivate between the high and the low Bombay. In appreciation, he is a low, stumbling, suspicious sort of a figure with what is called in the marriage market disunited vision, so he can look at you without looking at. He spots a short bird that makes him look like smuggler, henchman, and generally fails to button the top half of the shirt. But his article in the screen read almost like the sermons, so full of moral purpose are they. Ali is an authority on B and C movies, the Sudras and Untouchables and sure fire money makers of the industry. The fine trade magazines are full of full page color ads for them. In the sex and the horror category, such films are all shot very quickly. Start to finish in a week is a rented bungalow in Mahesh Island. Then they are shown to the censor board in Madras, where the censor are more lenient than in Mumbai. They often do better than the big budget films in their interiors. Place their Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh and the small theatres in Old Delhi. And they have names like Saithans or Mouth, Paisi, Artman and Dakhan. They are a mix of an horror, sex and a loud music, explained Ali. Often in the late shows, hardcore porn is inserted at the random within the film by the individual theatres owners. Footage that has nothing to do with the advertised film, but it is a real draw for the almost entire mall audience. Listening to Ali, you get the impression of a man who is haunted by the struggling actor who have come to Bombay and failed. He retains a special solitude for the women. Ali says that of every girl who came to the city to become an actress, 10 are lucky, 90 are doomed. The audience are often held in the places like the Hotel Seaside in Juhu, which Ali has renamed the hotel Suicide because of what it drives some of the female strugglers to after an audition is one of its room. The movies will always be linked with the sex and death for Ali, both significancy opportunity. Whenever anyone died, we got a holiday in the school and saw films. He grows up in Andheri East, home of an poor Christian and Warli tribal. When the junior artists started renting the flats there, it was like the invasion of a certain culture. The Warli women were very beautiful and the struggling actors could pick them up, telling them We are from the world of the movies. The boy Ali was very impressed by the flamboyant actor, and it was a shock of him to learn when he grew up that they were working as a peon in the office. He now sees them in the speakeasy on Yari Road in Andheri, in the Urvashi Beer Bar, in Leo Country Liquor Bars. Behind the dirty curtains, sitting over their 9 rupee bottle of Deshi liquors and planting the way in which they will conquer the world, telling the others struggle. Tomorrow I have a shot with Amitabh Bachchan. Being in this line for so many years, I am very shocked at their level of hiding reality, says Ali. They will never show you they are frustrated. The better off strugglers, like in certain hotels and the gestures, they are associated with the lack. The Marina guest house is Bandra. For example, Rajendra Kumar used to live there. Ali tells me what's the struggle survey on. The rice plate 8 rupees. Rice 6 puris or chapatis $1. If the hotel is very large hearted, then a small container of an very watery curd and 2 vegetables. Eaten in the right place, it is the most balanced diet. Sometimes, if they are in a good mood, they give us a sweet also. For the strugglers who is getting a small rolls, there are the Muslim owned hotels where for 20 rupees he can get a very good biryani. Ali and I take a rickshaw to Yari Road, which is buzzing in the evening with lots of little eaters along the sides. Ali points out a waiter at one shock. That guy have 8 stories in his pocket. He is ready to narrate. There must be lack of a film stories in Bombay. Just as they are struggling actors, they are also struggling script writers. They seek an audience with a producer or a director and narrate their story in a real time and with an real acting. In the emotional scenes, they weep affectionately. In the action scenes, they jump and fail around in the director's office. They will usually have saved the directors the trouble of casting. The star is already picked out, and Vinod Khanna is running. He falls on the ground, rolls on the ground, and then he gets caught. Ali mimics the narration. Meanwhile, Vinod Khanna is now here. He is away drinking somewhere. The long distance telephone booth of Yari roads are full of young peoples phoning home, telling their parents, their siblings, that their big break is just around the corners. Many of them belongs to the juniors artists. Guys as have a precipitate caste system. Ali explains. If an actor in a party scene is wearing a suit, he is considered A class and gets paid double the amount that goes to another actor. Regulates to C class because he is standing behind the A class. The strugglers whom nature has blessed with an resemblance to Amitabh Bachchan or Shah Rukh Khan find works as an professional doubles. Some female equivalent works in their brothels. The hike from the out of a town is shown a photograph album of the house inventory. He picks a film heroine look alike, pays an exorbitant sum for her favors, and due to the low light and his nervousness, go back home convinced that he has spent a night with a Bombay actress. Every time he sees her on the screen, he flushes with an secret pride. Ali promises to introduce me to an genuine struggler, a man named Izan. A few days later, we were sitting in the canteen of a Famalia studio. It is a snack but a 5-star shake according to Ali, because it has the 5 fans. Across the table from me, which is fashionite from a giant Coca-Cola billboard, is clear-faced, bright-eyed young woman, wearing an earring in one ear and a gold teddy bear dangling from a chain around his neck. His brother Hitesh sits next to him, so different in his look, he must have come from another genie pool. This is one of Ali's acolytes, Easton the struggler. If he wasn't struggled, he would never been sitting in this canteen, declares Ali. For Easton did not run away from the village in Bihar to come to the film world try his luck. He managed a flourished cloth business in Dubai for 5 years before he came to Bombay. He is a Sindhi, a NRI struggler who has been both feast and famine in his 25 years. He has traveled in the Mercedes, in a Rolls Royce, and in the Bombay's local trains. He stayed with the 13 peoples in one bedroom flat in Andheri before his family moved to a house in Jaipur, which his mother sold her jewelry to buy. He has been dreaming about being a hero since he was 16 and poring over the centerfolds in the screens. At the time, one of his uncles, working for a production company in the Bombay, got him work as a model in a photo shoot, and he pocketed 800 rupees for a teenager in Jaipur. It must have been a big deal, signifying much more than its purchasing power. The teenager finished school up to the 12th standard, and then his family moved to Dubai, where he managed a textile shop for an Arab man, making 70,000 rupees a month. Then, in the Gulf War, business went down. He kept visiting Mumbai. He felt he should do something else, something closer to his heart. Back in Dubai, a supermarket manager named Starson, he knew about the stars, wandered into his cloth shops. He used to tell me, "You are not an ordinary person. I see something in you." The young man was with his cloth shop at this time. Starson says that, but it was only a rest shop to drink some water. This is not the end. You will be ruling. The boy felt he could tell the Starson his dream. He said, "Do it. There will be a lot of trouble, but never give up." So the cloth shop managers left Dubai and came to Bombay to become a movie star. The city has changed his name to Mumbai, so he changed his name too. When he was born, his parents, with their middle class of lack of imagination, had named him Mahesh, the sheer organizers of which he had been laboring under all these years. In the 1950s and 1960s, Muslim actors changed their names to Hindu ones, such as Dilip Kumar, to be accepted. In the 1990s, there was no such need, even as the BJP and the Sena were accidents. The biggest movie star in the country were the trio of the Muslim star, the Khans, the Shah Rukh, Amir and Salman. Mahesh changed his name to Aizan, which has an Urdu ring, a filmy ring to it. Aizan started out taking a multitude of the classes: action classes, acting classes, dance classes. The dance classes cost 1000 rupees a month. Action classes 5,000 rupees for 3 months, and the acting classes cost 15,000 rupees. In the action classes, they were taught take one, do. Then they would be taken to the beach to learn filmy actions, diving and rolling and throwing the punches. He demonstrated they should pass up by just a little bit, just barely missing the body, just as the audience hears the satisfying dishum. He thought the acting teachers saw something special in him. Sir Rosen Taneja kept me on as an assistant for half an year, he says proudly. Then he adds, unpaid, was my honor. He got offered roles in the C films and in the TV serials, but he had set his sights on the A films. Aizan is very clear about what kind of the roles he will accept. I came here with the intention of becoming a hero. I came here, it was not to become an actor. He then met a producer who promised him a role in the film he was doing. Every 2 or 3 months, he would inquire of the producer about the status of the film and would be told, "We are looking for a director." The director was never found. Meanwhile, Einstein had stopped making his round of the producer's office, believing that his launch was imminent. He kept waiting for the year and a half, and in that period, he lost his other contacts. He started afresh after a 4 or 5 months. Then he met a Chetan Anand at a fashion studio and gave the directors his portfolio. Chetan Anand was a legendary film director who had come over Pakistan after the patriotism and was a part of a film dynasty. He was doing a film about a patriotism, a Muslim girl falling in love with an Hindu boy. Isatan was at a friend's place when he got the call from Chetan Anand. "You are on," said the director. "I was out of the world," recalls the struggle. "I started dreaming when they say action how I would react." He spent 9 months with the director recording 7 songs. Then the 7 years old Anand fell sick. He had some liver problem. He lost his both livers, says Asen. Anand died, and so did the movie. His family and the friends demanded that he come back to the cloth business, but people don't understand the importance of an Chetan's Anand sitting with me discussing a scene for an hour on end. That was pleasing to the actor in me. But a mother and a father sitting in Jaipur do not know who is Chetan Anand is. My parents were praying to the God, give him some intelligence and make him come back. Aistan decided to stay in the city because if he left, he could never return. Now here came the truth. However much you bend, the world will make you bend more. The struggler was now having a trouble even getting into the TV at which he has turned up his nose earlier. Not even the film actors were ready to do the TV in the economic slump of the mid 1990s, and the TV producers want us known faces even on the small screens. Eason made his daily routes to the producer's office carrying his 2 pictures of himself. I know what happened to those pictures when there are more than 10,000 people coming to our office. I have been seen such pictures in a thick photograph albums in a Vinod office. For the director to consult when he is casting a minor role, the album has young people, old people, children, mother, grandfathers. In that attractive, even stunning people, it has repulsive and villainous people. It has a demurous Hindustani naris. It has tarly vamps with the breeze spilling out of his tight blouses. All of the humanity that it is useful to the screen is represented here. They start out in the pages of this album on the first stage of their long journey to the screen, where the pictures come alive with a jerk. Every morning, Ishan goes to the gym or for a long jog to keep fit and more important to look fit. He has to spend on the clothes to keep up his presentation until he proves himself as an actor. Then, as with the older established Hindu film actors, he can safely run to the fat and dress like a slob. His car is in an advanced state of an melancholy. The white Maruti has a large brown rust top on the front, and when you close the door, it rattles shut. But he keeps it anyway at considerable expenses. To get the entry inside a studio, you need a car, so the doorman will salute you. In a taxi, he will let you go. In a rickshaw, he will ask you question, and if you are walking, he won't allow you in. When I was working in the Dubai, I was the boss. Now I have to say, sir, sir. For a struggle, this is the rule of the life. You have be very butterly. This is an eternal quantity of the voice job seekers. I don't understand when they ask you what you have done. Have you done anything before? If everyone asks the same question, when do I get the chance to do something? He invites the female strugglers. Girls have it easy. There is the coach. Aizen avoids modeling because of an homosexual in the fashion business. He sometimes reasons hundreds of thousands of people who wants to be star and compete with him at the lower end of the chain, who are willing to work for free. Every Tom, Dick and Harry brushing his teeth in the mirrors think if Nana Pitkar can do it, why not me? But they make it tough for the people who are actually talented. Thank you.